Good morning, everyone. I am Benedek Jávor, Green member of the European Parliament and Vice Chair of its Committee for the Environment. Today, I could not physically be there with you because we have very important ongoing negotiations of the Energy Efficiency Directive, which has the potential of becoming an important instrument to decrease our environmental impact on our planet. So let me share my remarks with you via this video message. It has become obvious that we are living in a very delicate moment in history given the environmental problems we are facing. Climate change, pollution and general environmental degradation, just to name a few. I believe that the solution to this problem is twofold. On the one hand, there is a need for a general shift in people's mentality and a fundamental change in the economic system. We need to recognize that biodiversity and the environment have an intrinsic value, thus independently of the anthropogenic or economic value we human beings assign to them. It is also not enough to recognize that they constitute an enormous asset in terms of ecosystem services. On the other hand, we have the law, which has the potential of being incredibly helpful. In Europe, we have strong legislation in place for certain subject matters, but in several other domains, legislation is simply non-existent, deficient, or improperly implemented. As far as rights of nature are concerned, despite some sporadic initiatives, EU countries have not yet granted legal rights to environmental features. For the representation of interests of nature, the only legal instruments that EU citizens, groups and NGOs can rely on are the Aarhus Convention and the Aarhus Regulation, which lay the ground for three important pillars of access to information, public participation in decision-making processes, and access to justice. But very often, there are issues when we have to raise the question of legal standing at court, as NGOs, various interest groups and individuals fail to meet the threshold for standing, which requires that a direct and individual concern must be proven. It thus seems that an injury to the environment, because it is an injury to everyone, does not individually concern anyone in particular and therefore cannot be brought to court. If we need a proof that the current system is not working properly and that our notion of rights is not exhaustive enough, I think this would be a perfect example. I believe that our next challenge lies there, in extending the current concept of rights to include future generations and non-individualistic living beings such as ecosystems and nature as such, similarly to what is happening in other countries, like Colombia granting rights to the Amazon region, New Zealand to the Wanganui, and India to the Ganges River, for example. In my own country, Hungary, there is also an important initiative to give legal standing to our biggest national lake, Lake Balaton. And if you let me a last remark, the concept of rights of nature needs a complete mind shift, a real paradigm change. This cannot happen without vast public support for the cause. What we can learn from the above-mentioned cases is that it is easier to get through and to receive public accordance in cases where we speak about tangible, symbolic elements of nature instead of a theoretic legal approach. So we might use those kind of initiatives not only as a tool to grant the protection of legal standing to those individual elements of nature, but also to raise awareness and to educate people and make the idea of giving legal standing to nature a widely accepted and supported concept. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a very successful conference for today.